we're rocking the boat with this latest episode of HQLA. Ahoy.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like it. That's pretty good.
Yeah? All right, we'll go with that one.
No.
But we're
We haven't told me where we are either.
No. Yes. Should we take a minute to do that in the middle of my...
I don't know. Should we?
We're on the Newcastle Marina.
We are.
And it is a lovely, warm autumn day.
Yeah, it is. It's the first podcast of autumn for us.
First podcast of autumn, episode 7.
Yeah.
And, ready to get straight into it.
Sorry.
Now, Nathan,
Yes.
this is going to be a huge surprise. I actually haven't told you what I'm going to be talking about first up, but I'm actually going straight into my IPO of the week.
Whoa.
This is... You weren't expecting that, I bet. So this one's fun because it's actually one of the few... Well, actually, I think it might be the only one that I've done so far that is I'm bearish on.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a fun one.
It's a bit anti, but
I like it. No, it's good.
But it's not that bad. Like, it's sort of bearish, sort of.
We've seen some bad ones. What did I do? I did American movie.
AMC.
AMC, and I did Express.
True, I did GameStop. So yeah,
we've done our fair share of random ones.
Yeah, I'm probably further ahead on this one actually than GameStop. So
right.
Less bearish, you could say. So this one is Doordash, and
Doordash has just a moment in what I'm going to say later on as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll get to that later. So it IPO'd on the 9th of December 2020. It was the hot time for IPOing.
It was.
And
really was.
It's almost 3 months into the market so far.
Yeah.
It's definitely you're in a bubble when moment.
Yes.
So it's one of those because it IPO'd originally. The opening price was $102 a share.
Wow.
You have to guess what the price at the end of the day was.
Okay. 125.
It got to 182, which is a 78% gain.
Wow, in the first day.
Yeah, and it pushed the value up to $69 billion.
Wow.
Think about that for a couple of guys in an orange hat riding around on bikes. $69 billion.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, so no earnings. Well, making losses, you could say.
Yep.
So that makes up a negative price to earnings, and for a crazy one-day gain.
69 billion.
Yeah, so that's what it was at a market cap of with 182 as the share price.
Okay.
But it managed to get to an all-time high on the 10th of February.
Yeah.
Which wasn't all that long ago.
No.
Because it's currently
it's about a month ago.
The 6th of March, we should say.
10th of February, all-time high.
Yeah, 10th of Feb, and it got to $215.
$215.
So I assume that's getting closer to 90 billion, based on the market cap before, maybe even 100, which is insane. So we've had... now that it's the 6th of March, we've had a bit of a pullback. So the current price has gone back down to 151. Still significantly higher than the IPO price. Still 50% higher than where it IPO'd at 102.
But that is lower than someone could have bought it on the first day.
True. Yeah.
So someone could have bought it first day trading for 170.
Yeah. So it's still.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. It's not ideal for the early IPO.
No, that's
strategy.
an interesting... Yeah, exactly, because there's a bit of a strategy, in quotation marks.
By every IPO.
For like a couple of months there where it was really booming, where it was... The concept was where you could basically just buy any IPO and you'd make money on it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a good short-term strategy, but certainly didn't pay off for some people, as you can see now.
Yeah. Speaking of, I've got 2 more IPOs in the bank that I'm keen to cover off on the next.
Okay, so
on the
this
next
is really a theme.
Yeah.
Great, I like it.
But they'll have to wait. You'll have to
any SPACs?
Listen in anticipation. No SPACs.
Okay.
But that's another one of my special segments that I'm keen to chat about as well.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll get to that.
Sorry. Continue.
That's a episode 8 or 9.
Okay.
So anyway, we've got I've written down the positives.
Okay.
So we've got a revenue of 2.88 billion.
2.88 billion for 2020.
For 2020, which is a growth of 226% on the previous
year.
Which is a huge amount. But obviously we've had...
That would be expectations. Like, you'd expect it to grow a lot.
Oh yeah, we've had a pandemic, so no one can even go to restaurants in a lot of parts of the world. So obviously that's it's gonna be useful to have Doordash in your city. So 390,000 merchants, which is good.
Yeah.
And here's another positive that I've looked into. It's ghost kitchens or cloud kitchens or virtual kitchens.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool new area. So it's a whole concept where they build a kitchen which is optimized for delivery. So, or it can also be like an existing restaurant, which is like taking on a rebranding as an only delivery kind of brand.
Mm-hmm.
So the cooking is done in the restaurant and then repackaged as a different brand sometimes for like a pizza shop. It might be a little mom and pop pizza shop.
Yep.
And then someone comes up with this cool new, techno pizza or something, and then they send a bunch of packaging to them and they say, hey, we'll give you, this cut, and you just have to put it in the bag and hand it to the delivery driver. Yeah. And it could be rebranded as something else. So so it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
But so one thing that's an advantage of that is a kitchen can be set up in a cheaper, non-prime real estate kind of area.
Yep.
And then it can do delivery only, and it doesn't have to have the customer facing, or the sit-in area.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be set up anywhere, and it can reduce a lot of risks because it can take down that front-facing staff, and you just have back end kind of staff, so it can reduce those risks.
And it's kind of cool because you can let those who have the comparative advantage, so those who are like the cooks and the chefs and that's their expertise, let them do that. Don't worry about the logistics. We can take care of it.
Yeah.
Which is a great idea. It's similar to like allowing Amazon to do all of the logistics and deliveries of everyone's items for stores and stuff. So
it
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and here's a huge issue. This becomes a negative now because they're building companies which specialize in the area of cloud kitchen. Yeah. Which means that they can they've actually got these tablets which flow through, every delivery app flows through on the tablet, on the kitchen tablet. Yeah. And then it shows, so it comes in orders from Uber Eats, orders from Deliveroo, orders from whatever. So like it doesn't matter, it just flows through. Yeah. So that's a big negative.
True.
I've got another negative. They're making losses, obviously.
Yep.
So that's obviously what you don't want in a good quality stock.
Did you say how much?
They're making $280 million in losses based on their $2.8 billion in
revenue.
Revenue.
Okay.
So
200 mil.
So it's not bad for the revenue growth, but at the same time, are they really spending that extra income on growing their customer base, or was their customer base going to grow by that much anyway? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
true. There would have been a lot of natural growth.
Yeah. So it would have been like, hey, look at us. We're investing every bit into growing our customer base. Yeah. When really they're not. It's not the same as a software company which is actually doing that. Yes. So we've got that. We've got not good value. The market cap is 17 times sales. So that's not ideal. No. Huge competition. Yes. So
very true.
Yeah. So Uber Eats acquired Postmates for $2.6 billion.
Wow. This. I also am going to mention that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what you're talking about, but
interesting.
I'm excited by this.
Okay, go.
Uber Eats made $4.8 billion in revenue in 2020, so they've made $2 billion more.
Wow.
They've got 600,000 merchants, so they're winning there as well. No, I'll list off a couple of quick fire ones. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say a name, and then you tell me if you've heard of them. Apparently, you've heard of a lot of them now, so it's not ideal. All right,
so these are the competitors.
I'll go competitor, then you say yep or no.
Okay, yep.
All right, here we go. So I've got Grubhub.
Yep.
Deliveroo.
Yep.
Menulog.
Yep.
Skip the Dishes.
No.
Waiter.
No.
Bite Squad.
No.
Zomato.
No.
And Domino's.
Yes.
That one was an easy one at the end. I don't know what you scored, but someone can work that out and tell us in the comments of our podcast.
I felt like I knew about half of them.
Yeah. So that's the problem. There's so many.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference. It's an app that someone's made.
Yep.
So there's obviously they're facing insane levels of competition.
Yeah. And
there's no real way to differentiate.
No.
Here's another issue. Because of the pandemic, this is a regulatory risk that I'm going to get into. Okay. Because of the pandemic, Washington, D.C. Limited service fees of delivery to 15% of the price of the order.
Really?
Which...
only within that state?
Yeah, within Washington, D.C. Yeah, so it's a very small square. But at the same time, Washington, D.C. do stuff that a lot of the U.S. seem to follow as well.
Yeah.
And that was just because of pandemic risk. And
15% of the cost of the goods or the sale.
Yeah, the order. So if you had a $10 burger, maybe $5 of chips.
Yeah.
You can only make 15% of. Wow. So there's $1.50 of, or
$1.50 for a $10 burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that's obviously not going to work for and because they wanted to limit that down to help poor people who couldn't go to restaurants.
Yeah.
And also didn't want to double the price of their thing, but you almost have to double the price.
Yeah.
To get that's the convenience,
Wow. You just need to order as a group.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But anyway,
that'd work. Yeah. So we've got my next point is about Mr. Beast Burger.
Oh yes.
So this one's really cool.
Yeah.
And this is especially a bearish indicator here. Here we go. So this is a negative because Mr. Beast launched his own app instead of worrying about going through apps that already exist and and doing that.
Yeah.
He's also got the brand image. Like no one knows who Doordash is. Like it's not an image and it has no stickiness in terms of oh, that's a cool influencer.
Yeah, correct.
So he launched it through a YouTube video, obviously, where he opened a free burger restaurant and then gave burgers and money away to people driving down the block. And they had a 5-mile line down the block with police and got shut down because it was just too dangerous for the traffic.
Yeah.
And the video that launched it got 46 million views. So so
what's the population of Australia?
It is 27 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's nuts.
Or maybe it's 23 million. Yeah.
I think, 25. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, it just gives a good scale. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was launched on 20th of December, and here's what happened. He launched his real restaurant, which is Mr. Beast Burger, which at the same time.
Yeah.
And he launched 300 locations at once.
Really?
And all of them are cloud kitchens, which we talked about before there.
Yeah.
So stuff like that makes it really worrying to own something like Deliveroo or Doordash or Uber Eats because, there's someone launching just 300 at once based on brand image alone.
Yeah.
And, it's just terrible. It's, terrible for, those businesses. And the fact that you can go and make that thing up and just make your own app, which does what they've spent years working on.
Yes.
You can just go and do it. And he probably spent 2020 on it. He probably spent a year doing it, but still.
So he partners with the cloud kitchens and they make his burger.
Yeah, but it's his brand. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who delivers it?
So here's the thing. So it was. I think it just started on his app, only on his app.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of a good thing because they've expanded out to doing it on DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff as well.
Yeah, but when it was on the app, how did you get the burger?
Oh, I think it was a delivery service that was
Oh, okay. So it also opened up another side of that. On the app, you could buy a burger, but on the other side of the marketplace, there was people who could also deliver the burgers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'm pretty sure it launched like that.
Gotcha.
And then it switched to.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
But it's literally been.
He basically made a DoorDash.
Yeah, but it's literally been 2 months.
Yeah.
And they've turned that on as well as his own.
Yeah.
I think it's well as his own in-house thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's
That is.
It's a not ideal. Nathan, what have you got for me?
Okay. Well, as I'd mentioned a couple of times when you were talking there, this business that I'm going to speak about has a few little crosses with two things that you talked about.
Yep.
And so they're not directly related, but I'm going to talk about Square.
Yes.
So Square was founded in 2009, and their headquarters is in San Fran, in California. And if you were to try and sum up what they're doing, it would be, last time I spoke about on the podcast, SoFi, and there are you'd see similarities between the two. So basically, they're attempting to consolidate all the financial requirements of a business and personal requirements of an individual into one location, being their ecosystem, which is the Square ecosystem. And so a little bit more background on them before I dive into it. Just because it's fun, do you want to guess how many employees they have?
I'm going to say it is 15,000.
No, 5,500.
5,500. Okay, not bad.
So of the 5,500, how many of those were added in 2020? Have a guess.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to go with 1,000.
1,700.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, added in 2020, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Whilst everyone else is laying people off, Square's employing 1,700 people, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So the average management tenure at at Square is 4.6 years. And so that's something I often look at when I'm investing in a company.
Yep.
Is, are these management sticking around and what's it look like? And so the CEO, as most people know, he's a bit of a figure, is Jack Dorsey.
Yep.
He's 43 and he's also the co-founder. And obviously, if you follow the space at all, he's also the CEO and founder of Twitter. And
it's always cool to see a double CEO. It's very Elon Musk. It's like him and Jack are like the only real ones that I know of.
Extremely high capacity people.
It's insane because how do you even spend all your time on one company?
Correct. It opens him up to a lot of flack as well. I think like it's there's a lot of pressure to do a good job.
That's true. Yeah.
The first thing people are going to say is like, you're dividing your time between the two. You need to focus on one. You know, you watch Shark Tank or whatever. Yeah. The first thing they say if someone's got multiple businesses is, I don't want to invest in this business if you're going to be thinking about that and that.
Or when they even have a job and it's like, hey, how do I know you're not going to focus on your part-time job?
You can only expect in a scaled-up version of that, dealing with large institutional investors, the same thing's going to happen. Like if the CEO that we've appointed here to manage the business is also looking after this business, you know, what's the guarantee that he's spending enough time on it? So at the moment he seems to be doing all right. I mean, there's this general like thing around Twitter where they have never really changed much, and it kind of like they made Twitter and then left it.
It's slow innovation,
yeah. And so that's fine by me because I don't really care that much about Twitter. So maybe he's spending his time on Square, and that's probably rightly so. Anyway, I've diverged a bit. The co-founder, and he's also a director, is James McKelvey. And he's a computer scientist, economist. So, backstory, really quickly, is McKelvey owned a glassblowing studio, and he was dealing, it was just around the age of credit cards, debit cards, all this kind of thing, and he was trying to deal with making the transition of accepting those into his studio that he was running. Heaps of fees, dealing with banks and having to try and make that work. Is it worthwhile missing a few customers just because you just offer cash payment? Excuse me. So anyway, he made contact with Dorsey, who was a friend, and the two of them basically solved the issue for his particular situation and thus created Square. And so the first thing they did was they built that little Square reader, which is kind of where the name came from. Yeah. So back in the day, the first one you would have seen it plugged into the headphone jack on iPhones. Yeah. And so their theory was basically like, in an iPhone, we've got 90% of what we need. We've got the ability to touchscreen sign stuff. We've got access to the internet, all of this thing. We've got, computing power and stuff like that. If we can just add like the hardware needed to interface with credit cards, debit cards, then we've basically solved it. So they did that, and their first business model was to send those out for free. So you could apply for a Square reader, and you'd get one in the mail for free. So as I said, they were founded in 2009, and so in 2011, it's a couple of years later, when they were at some sort of scale, they'd shipped 50,000 readers out, and they'd done over 60 million payments had been processed just in 2011. So that's good. And so their business structure was that they would take 2.75% of any payment, and initially it was plus 15 cents, which I suppose
it's a little fixed rate thing.
Exactly.
Just if you're selling like a 2 cent bolt or something.
Exactly. Exactly right. Like it's not even covering whatever expenses are incurred through that transaction. And so they actually quite quickly got rid of that and just went to the 2.75% model, which is, I think, what they have now. And so that's basically a summary of the business. In regards to the customer experience or what they offer, there's two sides of it, as I initially mentioned. There's like business to business. So what are they providing as value to businesses? And then what are they doing for consumers? So for businesses, there's hardware and software. So the first one is the Square Reader, which I mentioned. And then there's three more tiers, which kind of go up. So there's a Square Stand, which is you'll have seen in small cafes. So they can slot in an iPad. Again, it's using existing technology. And that Square Stand has like a little Square Reader on it, and you can spin it around, and it all looks pretty sleek, and it's white, and it looks nice. And then going up from there, you can get a Square Register, which uses Square's hardware tablet. that they've developed.
The great part about it is it all looks like something that's made by Apple.
Yes.
So
even their website.
Yeah.
So I went on their website when researching, and their website even looks the same. If you've been on and looked at Macs, when you go to the purchasing page, you can kind of click along to see all the different versions and models that they have, and it's mirrored exactly the same way on Square website. So they've got the stand, the register, which is their own hardware, and then the fourth option, it's not necessarily top tier, is the Square terminal, which is like the FBOS machine that you see getting around.
Yeah.
A little white one as well. They've adopted the whole Apple white kind of clean look.
Definitely, yeah.
So then they offer so much software that I can't even mention. So they do Square Appointments, Square for Retail, Square for Restaurants, Square Invoices, Square Virtual Terminal, Square Team Management, Square Contracts, Square Loyalty, Marketing, Gift Cards. And so basically the idea is they want to offer every single service required by a business under their brand name Square. So they develop, for example, like a contracts template, or they develop an invoice template, or whatever it is. And so you can pay for those services when you sign up with Square. And they have different tiers that you can sign up for. And so the last one is they have Square Dashboard, which gives you a really, really concise but yet detailed overview of where the business is at, which is really good for the average cafe owner who's not like financially literate, but they're a great coffee maker. They can see really simply, how much did I make today? How much did it cost me? And then what's the profit look like? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's got really good analytics. Yeah.
Exactly, really good analytics. And so that then leads to Square Capital, which is their lending service.
Yes,
right?
This is brilliant.
It's really, really smart.
Yeah.
And so they say, if you listen to their spokespeople, they say that their main competitor in this space is not banks, but it's friends and family, because they're
like the angel investors.
They're like an angel investor,
yeah.
because they can be lending out anything from 5,000 up to 50,000, and it's fairly instantaneous because they're not doing a credit check. They're not doing anything like that. They're simply looking at the information that they've basically given to the owner and saying, yeah, we can see that you do have enough profit to be able to handle this payment or whatever that we're going to provide for you. So
you're saying that Square have their own way of tracking how creditworthy someone is, and then they don't have to go through a different bank, or they don't have to go through some other thing, because they already know how well your business is doing.
Exactly.
They can see it all through your point of sale system.
Exactly. And then a defining feature to make the business owner want to use that service is that one of the stipulations is the loan is paid back based on their daily average card swipes. And so if the daily average is increasing, then the payments increase along with it. But if they, for some reason, it gets sick or ill or something and they are having less card swipes, they actually don't have to pay back as much. So it's pretty awesome, pretty special in that way. So that's the business side of it. It's really strong. It's really awesome. Recently has really started to grow. Excuse me. Is their direct-to-consumer side. So there's a few facets to this. First one is Cash App, which you would have heard about recently. Yep. It's really in the market at the moment because they own a lot of Bitcoin.
It's an American service, though, isn't it? It's only American.
Yes, that is definitely correct.
Yeah.
So they launched that in 2013. So you can spend, you can send money, so it's a networking effect as well. We've both got the app, we can send it to each other instantaneously.
Yep.
You can store your money there. And
it's
then
a huge competitor of Venmo, which is, because people say Venmo me.
Yes.
But now I've noticed they sort of say, like, and this is very American, it's only from watching people on YouTube, but then they're kind of like, oh, Cash App me.
Yes.
So it's clever how both of them have somehow got their own verb for the same thing, you know?
No, exactly right. So we'll see who wins there. And so you can also trade cryptocurrency on that platform as well, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the things that's really grown, like their cash at the moment, because they own all this cryptocurrency and it's just sort of gone up, which is kind of cool. Looks good on the balance sheet. Another thing they have is their website design stuff. So they have a thing called Weebly, which allows you to host websites and register domains. Then they have Square Up, which is their website design. So they've got Weebly, which allows you to do website hosting. You can register domain names. And then Square Up, which allows you to design websites. So it's their API, which allows you to do basically coding work, but on their user-friendly interface. So
what's an API?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So, but that's their interface for.
That's my explanation of it. It's basically, it allows you to do what you would originally need to do something more like coding work.
Yeah.
But they have created the interface, the user interface that allows you to do that work, but using like their user-friendly platform.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you can create your own website and stuff like that, and it's just design friendly. And so, and then the final thing that there is related to direct to consumer is Caviar. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting to what you were talking about. So, Caviar is a food delivery service that they originally set up.
Oh, no, wait. So Square has their own food delivery?
Well, kind of.
Oh, sorry. I won't interrupt.
But the interesting thing is they sold that to Doordash in August 2019 for 410 mil. Right? But
Good move.
August 2019. So then think coronavirus started in, let's say, January, February of 2020.
I don't think it became serious until March.
Okay, so March.
Yeah.
So then June 2020, Dorsey announced the partnership with Postmates to, again, provide a delivery service for the Square businesses. Because obviously they've got all these businesses that can no longer trade because everyone's at home. And so they'd sold their ability to do that in-house.
Yeah.
I don't know if they regretted it or not. Maybe the 410 mil was a good investment. But they ended up partnering with Postmates, and you can still go to the website now, and they still have a partnership with Postmates who will provide delivery service for their businesses. Which has obviously been purchased in December 2020 by Uber.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's what I was talking about.
That's what you said. So it's very interesting. It's all intertwined, you know?
Yeah.
And then a little bit about performance, and then I'm finished. So in Q4 2020, their gross profit was 800 mil, which is up 50% year on year. Seller ecosystem, so that's all the stuff I talked about at the start. That was only up 13% year on year. And the Cash app, which is, I mentioned, obviously, is up 160%.
Yeah, brilliant.
For the year, which is gross profit. I assume maybe something to do with trading cryptocurrencies had some sort of impact on that.
And you can take, the beautiful thing about crypto is you can take a higher spread on crypto. Mm-hmm. You know, you trade currency and you get a 2 pip spread, which is basically 0.02%. Uh-huh. You trade stocks and you can get a 10 pip spread, you know, 0.1%, something like that. But you trade cryptocurrency and you can take a 2%, 3%, 4% spread.
That's crazy.
On people's crypto because everyone just wants it.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter.
No.
And every single time someone's trading, you know, say you're taking 2% off them, you're making a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So obviously that's contributed. And they've got more than 36 million monthly active customers on Cash App in December. So that was cool. So they IPO'd in November 2015 on the New York Stock Exchange for $9. Which is pretty cheap.
Yep.
Current price.
Wait, so what year was that?
2015. Guess the current price.
Wait, 2015. Square IPO'd it in 2015.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that. Like I thought the IPO was before that. But current price, I'm gonna guess, is $256.
216. It probably was about that, but it's 216.
Yeah, we've made some losses this week. We'll admit that. We've made some strong growth stock losses.
I could buy a car with how much I've lost.
A very nice car. A very nice car that you used to
own. And so the market cap's about 100 bill. They don't pay dividend because they're a growth stock. And Jack Dorsey has 11% stake, which is about 10 billion.
That's pretty good. He's like 11% is a decent.
He's the largest stakeholder. Vanguard is second to that with 5%. ARK F has 5% of that portfolio. Sorry, no, 10% of that portfolio is Square, which is the largest. ARKK is 6% under Tesla, which is 10%.
Yep.
ARKW is 5% under Tesla again, which is 10%. And general individual insider ownership is 14.6%. And so...
You should mention Kathy Wood for the SEO.
Kathy Wood.
Not that SEO works for words.
Kathy Wood.
Now we can write it in the description.
But Kathy Wood is obviously bullish on this.
Yep.
And so my overall quick sum up is I like Square. I think they're awesome. I've owned them for a while, and I will continue to own them because I think they're going to make a big difference, and they have made a big difference in both the business world and the personal finance world, and there's much more to come, and I'm pretty excited.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
All right. I was going to go straight. Actually, I'm going to go straight into this.
Hey, look at.
It's not the hugest segment, but we'll see what happens. All right, my car, which I've been keeping a secret from you. Can I just also mention that we didn't plan to, we didn't share our topics at all.
That's correct.
With each other,
which often we do,
and we've managed to talk about the same thing.
Yeah, we've overlapped a bit. We'll see if we overlap again.
It's good, but yes, I'm glad I didn't pick Square.
Like, there's a chance we both have picked the same car.
Yeah. All right, so what I've picked is the Lamborghini Centenario.
Oh, really?
Is you haven't picked the same car,
no,
have you? Classic.
I've never even heard of this car. What is this?
It's spelt Centenario, but it's pronounced Centenario.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Centenario. Sorry. And it's actually came out in 2016.
Would you mind spelling it for me?
So it's CENTENARIO.
Yeah, I got it.
RIO. Yep.
Beautiful.
So these came out in 2016. I actually hadn't heard of them until a couple of days ago.
Neither.
I sent you
they make like two.
I sent you a Instagram post with one of them, and I was like, "Hey, that's interesting. I actually haven't seen that before. I thought it was new. I thought it was brand new.
True.
2016, but it produces 760 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 6.5 liter V12.
Hey.
Which is very nice.
V12 or W12?
It's a V12.
Okay, good.
It's not the same mistake as the
I got done on that one.
as the Bentley that you posted in your right after I talked about the Bentayga as well.
I know.
Anyway, so it came out. It originally was worth $3 million USD.
Yep.
There are 40 in existence.
40.
So they made 20 coupes and 20 roadsters.
Wow.
Which is a coupe without a roof.
I wonder
obviously.
where they went.
Yeah, well,
Who knows?
I know that there are 2 that went to the US.
Okay.
Which they're probably more by now. You'd think because of how many rich people are in the US.
Yeah.
It's got some.
Oh, the rest probably went to Dubai.
Yeah, true. There would be a lot. Probably one person owns 3 of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of the $3 million US price, I know that there was one that sold in the UK for £3.7 million, which is 4.8 million US.
Wow.
So it's gone up by 50-60% in 2 years.
It's a good investment.
Which is pretty cool that you can buy a Lamborghini that goes up in value. I mean,
it's better than the S&P 500.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So we've got I've got a couple of pictures, which doesn't help the viewers at home. I probably won't even show you; it's too hard.
Yeah, just describe what you're seeing.
So we've got actually.
I'm also looking at it.
Yeah. So I'll turn this around.
Oh, the back looks great.
It's insane. So it's got the idea of the taillights are that they're like kind of floating.
Yeah. Ah, yes.
So you can't really see.
It's like they're not connected to anything.
Yeah. So they're huge. Essentially, imagine a huge back strip of taillight. That's kind of it's just broken in the middle by the Lamborghini logo.
Yeah.
And below the floating brake lights, we have 3 distinct coloured rear diffuser
lines. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's got a massive rear diffuser.
That's huge fins.
Goes all the way down to the ground.
Yeah.
So it's a very race car kind of look.
Yeah, literally from just underneath the tail light all the way down to the ground.
All the way down, yeah. It's very cool. It's got 3 exhaust pipes in the middle at the back.
Oh, yeah.
So they're they produce the sound. They produce a very nice sound. I've listened to it on YouTube. Its name is Centenario because of the.
You're not saying it very confidently.
I'm not, because it's hard to say. Well, I want to say Centenario because it's spelt Centenario.
Yeah.
But anyway, its name is that because it's centennial, which is 100 years of Ferrucio Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Who was born in 1916.
Cool.
So that's kind of it's the Enzo Ferrari equivalent.
Yeah.
Which was in 1990s, obviously.
Yep.
So it's got a 2.8 second 0 to 100 time, which
2.8.
2016.
What's a Tesla?
2016 and
2.1.
No, electric cars weren't really as much of a thing in 2016.
Yeah, 2.8. It's not a bad effort.
5 years ago, I don't know, and it's just from a V12, not from a hybrid setup.
True.
So the side skirts and the front splitter almost have like a detached kind of look.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. They're very much not. They look like they're a separate kind of thing from the car.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry because it's got air suspension for pushing the front of the car up to go over speed bumps.
Smart.
And up tricky driveways.
That's a must-have.
It's a definite must-have on how low the front splitter. If you've seen the front splitter, it's incredibly close to the ground.
Yes.
And it would definitely scrape every... I'm picturing King Street right now,
yes.
Every single speed bump along there.
Yeah.
It's got the scissor doors that open upwards, which is cool.
Of course.
And it's the first Lamborghini which has rear-wheel steering.
Oh, yeah.
And this is really cool. So in the middle of the heads-up display, it shows you how much each wheel is turning. So it's got the rev gauge on the top, and then it's got a little graphic of looking at the car.
In the heads-up display?
In the middle of the heads-up display, it's got a little graphic of the car.
Uh-huh.
And then it shows you how much the wheels are turning.
Yeah, right.
Here you go. I'll show you. So that's what it looks like there. And it's got
it's
got the rev gauge in the middle, and then it's just got like a little.
How strange.
And I think it's kind of cool because it's like four-wheel steering is such a cool feature that like nothing's got that.
Yeah.
Like it was popular in like 1990 something, but it's a Lamborghini. So yeah, it's also got a screen in the middle which has it's got like stats, car stats. It's got like what's going on, how it's all working. But one of the cool settings in the middle of the screen is it shows where the aerodynamic load on the car is at the moment.
That's really cool.
So
it has sensors across the body somewhere.
Yeah. So and it
or
shows
something on
you
the suspension maybe or something.
Yeah. And so in the center screen, you can click that screen and you can see how much is where the air is flowing, and it's got a button specifically for it's like a hardware button for raising and lowering the rear wing.
Oh.
And then you can obviously adjust where that aerodynamic load.
Whoa. So you can drive around the track or something and continually adjust it and sort of make it how you want.
Yeah.
And that's very cool.
Yeah. And so that's a great feature.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's got all the expected modes: Strata, Sport, and Corsa.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
That's my car.
Would you have one?
My final verdict is it's a buy.
Oh. I think you would have had to be like on a list. If there's only 40,
definitely.
It would have been offered to you, I think.
You would have been on a very, very exclusive list.
Yeah.
And your regular Lamborghini buyer wouldn't have been on that list.
Absolutely not.
It would have been someone who's bought 5 or more, 10 or more.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like they need more, but no, well.
Yeah.
Crazy. You told us about that Lamborghini, what's it called? Centenario.
Let's not worry about what it's called.
Okay.
It's a Centenario.
Okay. So my car is crazier.
All right.
So mine is the McLaren P1 GTR edition. So, so we all know about the regular P1, right? So there was still only 375 units made, which is...
basically a Corolla by this stage. It's so common. So common.
So the regular P1, 375 units. So what did you have? You had 40 of those Lambos.
Yeah.
And the price, it's really hard because I'm basically transferring it into Australian dollars. But then it's not directly transferable because there's so many more taxes and charges here. So I'm going to say 1.5 million Australian, but I think if you were to buy here in Australia, it would have been more like 2 something.
Yeah.
900 horsepower. So this is a hypercar, obviously, I should mention. So it has the aid of an electric motor to still a whopping massive twin-turbo V8. And so its rivals, if you follow the space, are obviously the Porsche 918 and the Ferrari LaFerrari. Both hypercars came out at a similar time. So what I'm talking about today is the GTR edition, which is the track-only version. Now, we haven't... Sorry, there's some music playing. I'll continue.
Someone's having a yacht party.
There is a yacht party happening somewhere.
Yes, we are at the marina.
Unfortunately, we're not at that party.
Yeah. Let's walk past it on the way out.
We'll find it at the way out.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say was we haven't really specified whether the cars we talk about in this podcast have to be road legal. So...
No, definitely not.
So, well... There's someone who makes a road legal version, so I think we're fine.
Okay.
So, what was I saying? So you can get the GTR edition. So the normal edition, I transferred or translated the cost to be 1.5 million Australian dollars. If you were to buy the GTR edition, have a guess. 1.5 million is the standard edition.
The GTR version.
I'm going to say track only.
It's so hard. It's just once the numbers get up there, they're just ridiculous. And
what do you think?
I'm going to go with 3.2 million.
4 million.
Okay.
4 million, it's not road legal, and 58 were built globally. So 375 of the standard P1s, 58 of the GTR edition.
It's crazy to have it's just a car with a standard version and a special version, and there's still less than 500 of them. In total,
Okay, so distinguishable differences are 80 horsepower more than the standard P1, which brings it really close to 1,000 horsepower in the twin-turbo V8 with the electric motor. So there's 60 more horsepower from the V8, and there's 20 more horsepower from the electric motors.
It's cool that someone's building a supercar with a V8. The fact that you'd be like, oh, V12, V10. No, we're going to go with a V8.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's McLaren's style.
Yeah.
Did McLaren have V12s?
I don't know what the F1... the F1 was pretty beefy engine. I feel like that was a V10. I don't know, though.
True.
Jamie, pull that up.
True. So it's really cool. If you are remotely interested in cars, you need to look this up. Look at the rear of this car. The rear of this car is one of the most insane rears of a car you've literally ever seen. And I don't say that lightly. So they've basically removed all of the panels on the rear. And it's obviously rear engine or mid-engine, but it's in the back. And so you can see the engine. If I'm driving behind the car, I can see it. The exhaust comes out. It's unfinished. It's a raw exhaust sticking out in the middle of the back. It's just sticking out. It looks absolutely insane.
It's like paying for one of those Swiss watches that doesn't have the face on it. Like you can
that
see
is
the inner workings.
That is exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And so it's 45 kilograms lighter, which is somewhat negligible.
Yeah.
But where they've taken it from is good because it brings it to a lower center of gravity. So they've taken the glass roof and the engine cover, which were both glass, and that's replaced with carbon fiber. And then the windows, which are obviously usually glass in a road car, are now polycarbonate windows, which is race car spec with the little sliding bits. Which is cool. 10% more downforce than the regular P1, which is pretty awesome. 50 mil lower than the standard P1, which is getting very low. Rear wing is fixed instead of moving.
Yep.
And it's the full width of the car, which is about 100 mil wider than the regular P1. It has a really, really large carbon fiber front splitter and canards, which are those kind of like little pieces that stick out and basically just capture wind. Or it's not wind, capture air at the front of the car and apply downforce.
Are we talking about an extra splitter on the sides of the corners of the car?
Yeah, it's not necessarily a splitter. It's a canard. And it essentially captures air in those sections to push the front of the car down to give you more downforce on the front tyres. And so it's got some bits and pieces like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you've seen that. It's on a lot of time attack cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the steering wheel itself is a pretty awesome thing. So it's one of these detachable racing steering wheels. Yep. And it's like a rectangle, right? It's not circular at all.
It's like an F1 car.
Yeah, it's like an F1 car. Yeah. So some interesting buttons on the steering wheel is it has handling. So on the steering wheel, it has all of these functions. Drive modes, traction control, handling is separate. So it has wet, track, and race. That's it. It doesn't have comfort. Comfort would be track, I suppose.
Yeah.
You can put it in neutral there. You've got flappy paddles to change for the rest of the gears. Engine starts there. IPAS.
So hang on, go back to that neutral thing. It's got a button for neutral?
Yes.
Like is it like you hold it down and it's in neutral and then you let it go and it's
it's a press and it's in neutral.
Yeah.
And then when you're in neutral, you can click down to go to reverse or you can click up to go to first.
That's so cool.
It is very, very cool. This car is probably the coolest car.
Yeah.
You need to watch a YouTube video on this car. If anyone here thinks they like cars, you need to watch this.
Well, no, just watch this podcast on YouTube.
True, and there'll be lots of great photos.
We'll put it right here.
So
we'll put a video right
It's got an iPass button, which is a temporary boost of energy from the electric motor, which gets you past people on the highway.
Why weren't they doing that in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know. It has a launch control button, which would be insane. It has E-mode, and so it's pure electric driving, and you only get about 10 to 15 miles of range. And the idea is, it sounds like a gimmick, but the idea is, if this was a car, like let's say you were loading it onto your car trailer, and you're loading it at 4 a.m. in the morning because you're going on a race day, you don't want to start this insane car up at 4 a.m. in the morning and all your neighbours hate you. So you just to put it in E-mode. So that makes actually a lot of sense. Interior changes, it has like these giant left and right switches in the middle, and they genuinely are giant in the middle console, and you click it, like you push it up, and that opens the door.
Yeah.
And it has a fire button. You can press that and all the fire extinguishers go off and foam goes everywhere.
That's so cool.
I wouldn't suggest pressing that. It's got a bunch of interior cameras, which one points towards the driver, one points towards the front of the car, one points back, and it all comes together in the system telemetry, and you can basically watch how you're reacting to certain corners, where you're looking, where your hands are, stuff like that. It's all for the avid driver, the avid race car driver. It's got no...
Really wants to see his reaction times.
Yeah,
and
like...
how... Yeah.
He's made so much money, all he thinks about now is becoming a good race car driver.
Yeah.
And so he just wants to see where's he's looking on this corner, or where his hands are.
Yeah.
where he's shifting gears or something like that. It's got no rear window at all. It's just carbon fibre. And so obviously it has no mirror either.
Yeah.
And inside the doors, it's just carbon fibre with a pull. Everything's exposed. There's no cover panels, so you can see the ECU and all of this wiring and everything just hanging out behind the seats. It's pretty insane. Infotainment system has one button, which is air conditioner, to turn it on and off.
Oh, I'm surprised it even has an air conditioner.
It has air conditioning,
yeah.
And that's it. It has heated windscreen, so it has these little coils that run through the windscreen, little tiny ones, and they heat it up. So if you're racing,
you'd need that for.
It's good for racing and stuff.
Yeah.
No storage, not a single. Not a single piece of storage at all.
Yeah.
In the car, which is totally fine. Now, this leads me to my last point, which is you can get a roadworthy version of this GTR. So it's still the GTR version. It's not the standard version P1. And a company called Lazante, which sounds like an Italian company, but I'm not sure.
I was going to say it sounds like lasagna.
Yeah, it sounds like lasagna. They will convert your P1 GTR back to a street legal.
Okay, but what's the point at that stage?
Well, you need to watch a YouTube video.
I just want to know why you're not buying a P1.
Well, no, this
standard.
thing looks insane.
Okay, so it's just because it looks... Okay.
And it still has all the features and functions of a race car, but I'll tell you the differences. So it does also cost you an extra $900,000 to do this change back to a street legal.
You pay $4 million.
$4 million plus 900 or 1.5.
Okay. Or you buy 8 Range Rovers and you use them all to tow it to the track. Do a different one every day plus a couple of days.
Okay, excuse me. So the conversions are windows need to go back to glass, and so they become powered again. ECU's remapped for pump gas, ignition key, because it doesn't have an ignition key.
Yeah.
It just has a start button. The doors don't lock or unlock, so you need to make them lock and unlock. The front axle has a lifter put in it, so you can get over a driveway or something like that.
Yeah.
The steering wheel adds another extra lock to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
In a race car,
so all these things are in here making it heavier and worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the track, yeah.
Yep. Add a handbrake, replace the front headlights, and add a horn. And all of the original parts that they took out to do this also get sent back to the owner just in case they want to convert the P1, which was road registered, that went to a non-road registered P1 that he's taken back to a road registered P1. If he wants to take it back to a non-road registered P1, he can do that because he's got all the parts still.
It's a race car with extra steps.
So it is honestly one of the most insane cars I've ever seen, and you need to watch it on YouTube. Doug Demoro.
Oh, yeah. He's good.
He's very good, and he does a video on this one, which is where I watched it, and it is really just insane. So, yeah. I love it. I would definitely buy this car.
Yes.
I would
love
to buy this car.
If you had $10 million, would you buy this car?
No, I don't think I would.
That's 40% of your money.
Yeah. I don't think I would. If I had... There'd be an amount of money
definitely
that I would need to have, and I would buy it.
Yeah. Cool.
52
left.
52, yeah. No worries.
Oh, good timing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's for the pilot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hope we filmed that helicopter. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool bit for a changeover segment.
Cool bit.
A cool bit. That'd be a cool bit.
Talking about cool bits.
Speaking of cool bits, I have a special bit to present you.
What do you got?
I've got. So this is actually something that it's interesting enough. I went to look for it as a YouTube clip, And I couldn't see anyone making this specific video.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like,
This is exciting.
This is something that I've thought about a lot.
What is this?
I've thought about this a lot over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I've been like, as if no one's made this. This is silly.
What?
So maybe this is where we get big.
This could be good SEO.
This is where we get big.
That's so exciting. This could be really revolutionary.
I know, this is a new idea.
You've really hyped it up.
This segment is called "What is the dollar value of an Elon tweet?" So this one's gonna be good. So we've seen.
Just saying, the thing I'm going to talk about next is way more serious.
Oh, okay. What are you saying? My segment is silly?
No. Keep going.
Okay. So I've got a series of tweets, and it's quite funny how much he can influence. Just you think about when you're writing a tweet.
Yep.
Are you sitting on the lounge at home? Have you had a few drinks?
Yeah.
Are you in the factory early in the morning?
Yeah.
Is it the cold, dark middle of the night?
Yeah.
And you're working hard all day?
Yeah.
You never know which segment, because you can just pull up your phone, write a tweet. Haha, that was a funny thing. Retweet that. Retweet this. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got the 1st of May 2020.
Okay.
My birthday, by the way.
Way.
And this is the first one I'm going to start with. It's we've got.
Sorry, my bad.
Nathan. We've got ones before that which are irrelevant numbers, but this is where it's seriously. This is the first one that's massive impact.
11th of May, 2020.
1st of May.
1st of May. Yeah. Oh, your birthday.
Yeah.
1st of May.
Obviously, you remember that.
Yeah.
So this one was Tesla price too high IMO.
This is a classic.
The Tesla high 2 price, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We've all seen this one.
Yep.
That wiped off 14 billion in Tesla stock price. So that's the market cap that went down.
Yep.
3 billion for Elon personally, which he wiped off his own value.
Wow.
So that's quite funny.
This would have been pre him becoming the richest man in the world.
This was pre him becoming the richest man in the world, but well on the way.
Yes.
He would have been slowly coming up to, I remember there was a point where it was like 5th richest man in the world, Elon Musk, you know?
Yeah.
And just rapid rise, just insane. But the next one we've got is from the 7th of January 2021.
Okay. Pretty recent.
This one is use Signal.
Oh, yes.
So
this is also a classic.
That's a great one.
Yes.
So this one caused the price of Signal Advance Inc. to go from 60 cents to $38.70, which is a 6,350% increase.
Yeah.
Caused their market cap to go from 55 million to 3.5 billion. So he essentially created 3.5 billion in value.
Yeah.
From use Signal. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think he meant use the indicator, like when you're driving. Like he literally just said use Signal.
Okay.
But I know that I've seen articles that he wasn't endorsing the product, or he wasn't endorsing the company. He was literally saying use Signal, like get out of like silly drivers.
Do you know what Signal does?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, he said use Signal.
Interesting.
And it's been
that is definitely a controversial one.
It's very much not. I don't think it's associated with the stock at all.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
Because I've seen a lot of people just bought Signal because they didn't know what he was talking about.
Yep.
Do as Elon does.
Bit of a Zoom Technologies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and this is a Zoom mic, by the way.
Yes. Yes, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the company that randomly got heaps of money.
Yes, whereas Zoom calls are a different thing.
Yeah.
So the 26th of Jan 2021, we've got I Kinda Love Etsy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is I
know that one too.
A very specific thing. That's definitely not saying use Etsy. It's saying I can't, and Etsy is not interchangeable for something else.
No.
So it's definitely a specific one.
Yeah.
Had a run for a couple of days. It had a 13% raise.
Oh, really?
And it's a $25 billion company, so I'm going to say about $3 billion in value created there.
Yeah.
The next one was the 27th of Jan, which is the next day.
Yeah.
He said Game Stonk, which was the link to Wall Street Bets. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
This one can't be fully attributed to him, but it is funny that he jumped on the trend and like he definitely would have had some role to play in some of the billions.
No, definitely. Yeah.
So on that day, GameStop rose 134%,
Jeez.
which is about 10 bill in market cap. Now, if we say that he attributed, 10% of that, he's still making $1 billion worth of value from people just being like, "Oh, Elon endorses it. Let's go."
Yep.
1st of Feb 2021.
Okay.
This is so recent. This is a month ago.
Yeah.
on Clubhouse is what he tweeted. Just on Clubhouse.
True.
Clubhouse Media Group, who don't make the Clubhouse app, rose from $2.10
no.
to $27.
I did not even know this. Really?
$2.10 to $27.40.
No.
It looks like it created about $1 billion in market cap
Whoa.
from that.
That's crazy.
Clubhouse Media Group do not make Clubhouse the app.
Wow. Did you listen to Elon on Clubhouse? Were you on there yet when he was on it?
No, I wasn't on at the same time.
So I got Clubhouse just to listen to him.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. Did you get into the actual chat?
No. I got into an overflow room.
Yeah, because there were overflow rooms where people were live streaming the Clubhouse.
Yeah, that's what I got
back to yeah.
So I was on Clubhouse, but I was in an overflow room because the room got full straight away.
Because it's only a 5,000 cap. It's like it only goes to 5,000, and obviously Elon's on. Everyone's going to jump on that has Clubhouse.
Yeah, it was still cool to hear him live, just candidly speak about different things. He was talking about like education and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting.
Speaking of Clubhouse, we're going to do our next episode on Clubhouse Live.
Yes, we are.
I've stitched you up just then by announcing that.
All right, I guess we have to do it.
We're definitely doing it. Here's another tweet from Elon, 2nd of Feb, which is the next day again.
Yeah.
He started tweeting about Dogecoin.
Oh, yeah.
So this has been a non-stop...
What do you mean started?
This is the first tweet that he
Really?
did about Dogecoin.
When?
On the 2nd of Feb.
Really?
So this is...
Okay.
And then from the 2nd of Feb to now, he's been consistently pretty much tweeting about Dogecoin, which is annoying but funny.
I feel like it started doing nothing, though.
It definitely started not reacting. But on the day that he tweeted about Dogecoin... He went from 0.002 USD to 8 cents, which is so it went from 0.2 of a cent to 8 cents. Now I don't know what that is as a percentage, but it's a pretty wild rise.
It's a lot.
And so it got up from an $8 billion market cap from about a $1 billion market cap at certain points. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
At the time, it seems like it was less than $1 billion market cap.
Yeah.
So he created about $7 to $8 billion there, essentially.
Oh my goodness.
And since then, he's been posting constant memes about them. We're going to have one there, one there,
hey,
one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. That's one little visual treat for the YouTube only. And on the 8th of Feb, 2021, Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah, they did.
Now, this is really cool because I saw a bit of an article by one of the guys in the treasury of Tesla who actually organized the buying of the Bitcoin.
That's cool.
So what he did was he wrote this code which it automated the buying of Bitcoin so that every time Bitcoin dipped by 1.5%, he bought... Like, it just automated so that it bought 100 million.
Yeah.
And so then every time there was a 1.5% dip, it bought that.
That's
and obviously, as you know, Bitcoin moves 4 to 8% per day, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a huge... So up or down, doesn't matter. Like, it'll be that volatile.
Correct, yeah. Hugely volatile.
So one thing that's great about that, they got all the Bitcoin buying done within, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
And based on so $1.5 billion and just 1.5% dips.
Yep.
So pretty cool.
That's
that's
very cool.
And purchased it all up, and that's based on a Twitter conversation Elon did end of last year, which was he posted this. Essentially, it was like someone being tempted by Bitcoin. It was like I'm not even going to show that picture because it's kind of raunchy. But essentially, the girl is Bitcoin.
That's right.
And Elon's like, kind of looking at it.
Yeah.
And so one thing that led to that is someone said in the comments, it was some famous business owner, I don't know who it was, but he said in the comments, why hasn't Tesla moved its treasury over to Bitcoin yet? And then he said, is such a large transaction even possible?
Not Michael Saylor.
Oh, I don't know.
Not
you say it if you want.
not MicroStrategy's guy.
I have no idea.
Okay.
But anyway, Elon said, is such a large transaction even possible? And then the guy said, yeah, we've done it with our balance sheet.
Yeah.
I'll show you how to do it with mine.
Yeah, Michael Saylor.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
MicroStrategy's man. He did it. He was the first one to do it. He did like 500 mil. And that was in like March or something, 2020.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, made a huge increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. But
really great.
Yeah, so obviously he's bought 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. The funny part about that is it's more like they've made more in treasury. You call it a mark to market gain.
Yeah.
So Tesla has made more of it. Well, it's an unrealized gain.
The unrealized gain, yeah.
But Tesla has made more of an unrealized gain in Bitcoin than he has by selling cars.
That's funny, yeah.
But yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then he tweeted basically something. This is just a wrap-up, but he tweeted that Ford and Tesla are the only companies that have stayed afloat, the only American car companies that haven't gone bankrupt or something at some point in time.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, it's... I don't actually have the tweet in front of me now.
Yeah.
But he said that essentially making a profit making a car company work is very difficult, extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Making a profit selling cars is excruciating or something like that.
Yeah, wow.
So, it's it's an interesting one, but good old Elon, eh?
Crazy, love him. All right, so one thing I've been thinking about, I actually read a really cool quote from Albert Einstein, right? And it says, I just want to hear what you think. So, reading after a certain age diverts the mind too much from its creative pursuits. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. So the way I distill that is that, like, I think it's possible to get really good at consuming knowledge, which appears to be good, but in reality, it isn't serving a purpose unless it's put to creative use. I don't know, like, I feel like we were having a conversation the other day about it's interesting how much in the last year we feel like we've learned or grown personally or professionally or whatever it is. But I feel like sometimes you have to stop and just make sure that you are actually outputting something from all of that consumption of, like, oh, I've learned all of this stuff. Am I actually using it to create any kind of value in my life personally or in anyone else's life? And so an interesting story to go along with that before I hear what you think is I was speaking to a guy named Sam, who's a friend of mine from school, who you'll know. And so he recently finished a double degree in mechanical engineering and maths. And so he did his honours in biomechanical engineering. And so basically, to distill what is a huge explanation down to something really small, he created this little micro splint which aids in healing some back surgery. And so the picture that I'm painting is very impressive. So he's going on to complete his master's in research in Sydney, and he's got a goal to go and do his PhD in a certain field, and he's going to try and develop how best to dissolve this splint over a set period of time in a controlled way, so that it sort of negates the need to have surgery to remove it and stuff like that. And so, all of this being said, it was interesting because he sees, when I was speaking to him about what he's been doing and stuff like that, he sees his study at school and his undergrad studies and stuff like that as impartation or like input into himself as knowledge. And sorry, he almost feels, he was expressing that there's almost like a slight level of selfishness of all of this knowledge that he's been consuming. And he feels very compelled to use this for something.
Should I bother with this or?
No, it's fine.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
So he feels really compelled to use the knowledge that's been imparted into him for something. And so that's why, like, he has this really awesome job that he's doing at the moment, which is like, he like works in this theoretical maths research stuff at University of Newcastle, but he's like, it's awesome. And it's like, he'll find out new, I don't know, things that I wouldn't understand. But he wants to go and work in back pain and biomechanical engineering and find a solution to that because he wants to actually do something that's meaningful and create value. Not that theoretical maths isn't, but it's not necessarily directly attributable to something or to some individual person. And so it's an interesting concept that we can be so consumed in inputting knowledge into ourselves and sometimes get so lazy in doing that, which feels like we're being productive, that we're not actually using that knowledge and being creative with it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I like this because it really reminds me of the way, and getting a little bit into the philosophy section of the chat.
We are.
But I really like the way that it thinks about how someone who reads something isn't particularly going to put it to use.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I physically struggle to read something that I'm not interested in.
Yep.
And if I'm interested in something, it means that I'm actually outworking that in my life already.
Yeah.
Which means that when I read something, I'm getting the valuable knowledge. But Einstein, or someone who's a high-level intellect, or just this really clever person, maybe this really clever person that's not particularly motivated, is going to read stuff and study stuff that they're not even interested enough to actually go and impart that in their lives.
Yeah.
So I think that the quote is irrelevant to me in the sense that I'm only going to read stuff that's going to benefit me. Whereas
interesting,
and because I'm not going to read some pot plants of 1970. Like some random book.
You almost don't have the capacity to be able to read that.
I physically cannot make it through that book.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm reading stuff, if I read 100 books a year on, because take the opposite view.
Yeah.
Bill Gates, he is a high level insane intellectual dude.
Yeah.
And he enacts a lot of the stuff that he reads as well.
Yeah. It has a purpose.
And he reads an insane amount. And so you got to think about him as this genius.
Yes.
He read this book about, fixing cholera in India or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he went and hosted a competition where you can design a new sanitary system for the third world.
Yeah.
Then he went and funded an expedition to go and literally install it in places in the third world.
Yeah.
And make it low cost and make it affordable and make it possible.
Yeah.
And so that's the exact opposite almost of that knowledge quote. So I don't know.
Well, it is. I think it's still relevant because I think there's also those people, which I think what this quote is speaking to is, I think we could think about people who we know who have the answers to everything, but then when you go, and they really do have the answers, they've always got something to input, or they've always got information, or they're very intellectual, but it's in your own personal life, what have you actually done to create value?
Yeah, yeah.
And there are people who, they're just consuming knowledge, they're just reading, watching documentaries all the time, whatever, and they know all these random facts. They're not going to serve them any purpose.
Yeah.
And they, go to their grave knowing all these random facts, but they've not really left any kind of legacy or any value contribution to the world.
Yeah.
So I'd say what you're saying is absolutely true. There's people on one end of the spectrum who their consumption of knowledge is equal to their output of works. And then there's people who their consumption of knowledge is nowhere near equal to the output of works because they don't do anything. So they need to...
Don't get me wrong, there's also very dumb people that do very great things.
That's also very true, which is kind of what it's saying as well, where it's also don't substitute reading about something for actually just giving it a crack.
Definitely.
And so different people learn different ways. I could definitely identify with someone who just needs to try something, and from trying it learns all of the things that you need to do it better next time or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's just a little bit of a thought or encouragement or whatever to not just be sitting at home reading, watching, but actually have give something a crack or pair the consumption with some output or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any other thoughts?
It's the podcast that is stock. I can't remember what we said at the start. What did we say?
Something about rocking a boat.
It's the podcast that rocks the boat. High quality liquid assets. You are welcome for this. It's HQLA.
Thank you.